You may have heard there is a Night 3 update to Tower Defense Simulator's Null and Void event, but for this they've actually added a lot of new achievements and a lot of new stuff as a result. So, as you can see here, I now have two achievements that I can claim because they are related to Night 3. Firstly, I have Exo's Nemesis, which is to triumph Night 3 on hard mode, and that gives me 1,000 coins, 2 spin tickets, 2 timescale tickets, and 4 Unholy Storms. Whereas the Cosmic Drifter, which is completed by beating a Night 3 on easy mode, 500 coins, 1 spin ticket, and 1 timescale ticket, so I can claim those, and I think they go to the bottom. However, unlike the other achievements that you can see here that says equip, you don't actually equip anything for these achievements. I think they're just like challenges that you can do rather than getting a name tag. Well, actually, it's just a title out of it. So, for example, if I go to D, because I'll sort this by alphabetical, go to D, C, D, there is nothing about Defender here. If I had the Defender achievement, so if I go to E, there is no E either. There is no section for E, meaning that I didn't get a title for Exo's Nemesis, which it feels like I should, given that these are event stuff, and like event stuff normally gives out limited time stuff, so I guess this is only for bragging rights. But I guess for the achievements for the Halloween event, it's just some extra coins that you get, or just some extra stuff. So, for example, the Defender achievement, which is done by triumphing Night 1 on easy mode, you get 150 coins, 1 spin ticket, and 1 timescale ticket. Do bear in mind that these aren't being backdated, so even if you have the badge, you're not being able to get the achievements because that's only after the update for Night 3. As for Breached, it's to triumph Night 1 on hard mode, that's 300 coins, 2 spin tickets, 2 timescale tickets, and 1 Unholy Storm consumable. Whereas the Interdimensional Explorer, that is to triumph Night 2 on easy, that's 250 coins, 1 spin ticket, and 1 timescale ticket. The Cosmic Drifter, which is to triumph Night 2 on hard mode, is 500 coins, 2 spin tickets, 2 timescale tickets, and 2 Unholy Storms. And do bear in mind that these aren't being backdated, so I'll have to triumph hard mode again if I want this achievement. But given the fact that it doesn't give out anything exclusive like a title, I really doubt I'm going to do Night 2 hard mode for this. So the other ones, the Cult Destroyer I've mentioned, Night 3 easy, the Exo's Nemesis beat Night 3 on hard. Evil Within, interestingly enough, is beat Night 3 hard mode with the event tower, namely the Warlock. So basically the developers are encouraging you to actually play Night 3 again with the event tower to get this achievement, Evil Within. So you get 750 coins, 2 timescale tickets, and 2 spin tickets, which is Exo's Nemesis, but actually a lesser reward because they've assumed that you already beat it once, so you're going to beat it again with the Warlock tower, and here's some extra rewards alongside that. That, or you could buy, interestingly enough, you can buy the Warlock tower for 849 Robux, so you can just bring it along into hard mode when you buy it. So it's not really a method if someone's bought it, but for most people what they probably would have done is beat hard mode, get the Warlock tower, and then beat hard mode again. So that doubles effectively the playtime for the Null and Void event. The Warlock tower is obviously the new tower added in this event. You get it by beating every single night in hard mode, although do bear in mind you have to beat them in order, so you have to beat Night 1 hard mode to unlock Night 2 to unlock Night 3, so effectively meaning that you really have to beat Night 1, Night 2 and Night 3 hard mode in that order. You can also gift the Warlock Tower if you so wish, if you're that generous, and you can also buy it with a Game Pass for 849 Robux. Now, there are 2 other achievements, but these are achievements which are considered to be very difficult. So, the first one is to beat any night on hard mode. It's with the Death Curse. That's the Death Curse which gives Nimble and Bloated. This is called the Death Touched. I did actually speculate that the developers may actually do this, and look at that, they have. So that's 1,000 coins, 2 spin tickets, 5 Unholy Storms, 10 Necromancer's Tombs, and interestingly enough, a band crate. And then the second one is called Against the Odds. The thing here is to beat Night 3 in hard with no exclusive or no hardcore towers, so effectively meaning that you can't have any event towers and you can't have any hardcore towers, and for the developers and the admins and the moderators out there, no war machine either. Effectively meaning that you're locked over to these towers here, and in that case I think the range, because hidden, you don't really want to, do you want to choose hidden? I don't know, maybe if you choose hidden, or then the Ranger will be useless, but if you don't choose hidden, I think the Ranger is literally the only viable option DPS wise. It doesn't say anything about not bringing golden towers, it only says don't bring any exclusive or hardcore towers. So I think if you bring like the golden soldier, you'll be fine for this achievement. Interestingly enough, this also gives 800 coins, 2 spin tickets, 2 unholy storms, 5 necromancer's tombs, but also a band crate. And do bear in mind that there are 5 band skins in Tower Defense Simulator. Well, actually there's 4. The developers speculated that there'll be 5, but I think it might have been a typo because I don't see like a skin slot for the Warlock Tower. So it does kind of look like that there are going to be 4 band skins, and if you got 2 band skins from the live events, it looks like these 2 achievements are the only other ways of getting the band crates. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any more live events, so that means that you can complete the roster of band towers if you got the 2 from the live events, but also if you get the Death Touched and Against the Odds achievements, which are going to be very difficult. I tried Death on night 1 hard mode, which I assume is going to be the easiest way of doing it, because otherwise you're like boosting a health of a boss of health in like night 2 to 500,000 to something. And then even in solo mode for night 1 hard mode, you're boosting it to 160,000 health, which doesn't sound too bad, but then you also have to realize it has nimble. I barely dealt 50,000 damage to it. So this one, I think you're going to need to beat it on night 1 hard mode. You're going to choose it on the last wave, but also you're probably going to need a group of people with a load of accelerators and the such to beat it, because otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult. And I'm not sure if the developers have playtested it. I'd assume they have, but it seems really difficult. Interesting enough, the developers also mentioned that there are going to be more achievements and more badges soon. Not sure what the badges could be, maybe something to do with the Death Curse, but also the Triumpher of All Nights coming very soon, meaning that you probably have to do each of the nights in succession. So that's beat night 1, then beat night 2, then beat night 3 with the same team in quick succession. So that's going to be very difficult, especially because the strategy for night 1 and night 2 seemingly is solo, and then for night 3 it's to have 4 players. So to have the same 4 players beat night 1, night 2 and night 3 back to back after we've already played this event over and over again, it's going to be very tiring, I must say, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go for it. But if it's anything like the Hexscape Triumph of All Nights, you might get a sweet badge, and you might get a sweet name tag, and you might get a sweet charm. There have also been some other shadow changes that the developers have made in this update, including adding a model for the Nerd Duck for the narrator, which was very interesting the first time I saw it during night 1, but also the developers have fixed an issue where if you timescaled the game and then you chose a curse, the timescale would revert back to 1, even if you were on 2 or like 0.5. The developers have now fixed it so that it keeps the timescale from the previous time. So, for example, if I was 2 times scaling night 1 easy mode, and then, no, sorry, easy mode, in hard mode, for example, then I were to choose a curse, it would still be 2 times after the curse had been chosen. Previously, it would revert back to 1, which is very cool, I guess, and even though there are a load of other bugs which seem like they should get prioritized over this bug, it's really cool that I guess they're focusing on these bugs. On the mention of night 3, seemingly the curses are not random for wave 6, 12 and 18. This means that the curses here, the Tower, Death and Justice, they aren't random. So debuffs applied to towers last 50% longer, Death, enemies get bloated and nimble, and Justice, towers gain a 10% damage boost when the player has 25% of their total health left. Obviously, the majority of people are probably going to choose Justice, because Justice is the only one that works here. Also, interestingly enough, they seem to have nerfed the Tower Curse for the player, because previously it used to be the debuffs applied by enemies, such as the non-pyromancer, would get increased by 50%, but debuffs applied by towers be increased by 25%. But in night 3, seemingly it looks like it's been increased by only 10%. Very interesting. As for wave 12, you have the Sun, the Chariot and Temperance. So enemies gain stun, freeze, fire immunities, towers gain all detections at the start of the wave. Seemingly this seems to be the best one, meaning that effectively the Firework Technician is going to be kind of useless, the Pyromancer is going to be useless after this wave, and then anything that slows down enemies, including the Pyromancer, but the Pyromancer is also going to be useless for the fire immunities, but the Freezer is going to be useless, the Chiromancer is going to be useless, the Electroshocker is going to be useless, so probably don't pick that one. Don't pick those towers for this game. And then for wave 18, you have the Star, the Moon, and the Fool. Now, given that most people have chosen the Justice for the wave 6 curse, the Fool is the no-brainer here, because all towers will get 10% more damage. So that's pretty good. The moon here, all enemies gain hidden modifier. I guess that could also be useful, but given that not many of your if you're bringing in a ranger, for example, and you don't want hidden detection for all of those towers with like the ace pilots, then the moon, not a good choice. And then the star, towers have 5% less range and slower attack cooldown. Players have total tower limit increased by 10, it's actually 5. That actually may be working for some people, especially if they have a load of DPS towers and by the last wave they have a lot of cash. However, it is still the case where on wave 24 and wave 30, these curses are still random, so you still get death. Death, Chariot the Tower, they're just the random ones we got. But these can't be manipulated in the way that 6, 12, and 18 can be. So you are still slightly random. It's only 2 curses that are random, so it's not a big deal. And actually, on the last wave, we actually did kind of get something good. Temperance, so towers gain stun immunity on the last wave. That's pretty good. But enemies gain mutation modifier. The only problem is, it's the last wave. So not many enemies are going to get that much mutation modifier. I think some enemies, if they spawned previously, had 5%, but the boss itself doesn't get 5% extra health. So Temperance here, on the last wave, pretty good. And actually, it's the first time I've ever seen Temperance being used on the last wave. So that seems to be a pretty good curse to get on the last wave. So my advice, always choose that, because stuns were absolutely useless during the time that the boss, what was it, the Rift Walker was active, and we only ever used the Star Cannon really when we thought it was going to use a base attack ability. The only problem is I really couldn't tell, so we just used it whenever it used like a powerful attack, even though it didn't stun any towers. Probably decreased the range of some towers, but also probably something to do with the fire rate as well, like negatively affecting it. But eventually we did defeat it, so that's pretty cool. Interestingly enough, the developers have also mentioned that they pushed a slight nerf to the boss to make the event fair. An hour and 15 minutes after they released it, I beat the easier version of the boss, whatever it is. So I'm not sure if 2.5 million health was the starting point of the health, or if they've nerfed every other point. So for example, in solo mode, I don't know how much health it has. I don't know if it's even possible to solo Night 3 on hard mode or even duo it. But for trio, I'm not sure if, for example, it had a higher amount of health before. That was nerfed, whereas before for quad mode, the developers just left that alone, because 2.5 million health already seems like quite a lot, and I only barely just beat it.